Well, awesome. Thank you so much, ChargeFlow, for having me. Again, my name is Karley Daudell. I manage the partnerships team here at ShipBob. Today, I'm really going to be speaking about leveraging fulfillment to deliver the best peak season yet. Awesome. So to kick things off, for those of you who aren't familiar with ShipBob, I just quickly want to go over who we are and what we do and brands we work with. We have 50 warehouses here in the US and we have 8 international locations as well. We have 100 plus integrations, and we do both D2C fulfillment as well as B2B fulfillment. And we have our WMS for anyone on this call that has their own warehouse but wants to use a ShipBob to get technology, use our WMS and our discounted postage rates. Brands we work with, just to name a few fun ones, Chamberlain Coffee, one of my favorites, Touchland, Spikeball, and 100 Thieves. We really try to handle all things logistics for brands, and we can work with brands that are just starting on a Shopify, a BigCommerce, a WooCommerce, really any platform, to the Spikeballs and the Touchlands of the world. So that's just a little bit about ShipBob. I want to talk about a customer of ours, which is Our Place. If you're not familiar with them, this is a plug for them. They do really chic pans. They're really aesthetic pleasing. You know, they're really meant for you to leave out, not to have to put away. They're a great client of ours, and I'll be talking about them throughout this presentation. And so, really, one of the problems they had were they were leveraging 2 fulfillment centers. And it was taking about 5 to 6 business days to deliver to their items to their customers. And for pans, usually people want them pretty fast, right? Like you're buying a new pan if your pan is broken, you can't use it, maybe you're hosting and you're like, "Hey, I need a new pan." And so with only leveraging 2 fulfillment centers, their shipping times were pretty long. And so when they started with ShipBob, what they did, and you can see on this first graph where it says 1 fulfillment center, you can see that they have 1 fulfillment center in California. And basically, the rest of the US, besides the West Coast, it's going to take a really long time to ship, right? You can see all of blue and purple, that is zone 7 to 8, meaning that it probably takes about 6 to 7 days to get to those zones. So the West Coast is good. However, the whole East Coast and honestly some of the Midwest, it's going to take a really long time to ship to. So when Our Place started with ShipBob, what we did was we looked at their historical order data and they opted into our inventory placement program where we actually are able to tell them where to split their inventory and how much inventory to send to each of our warehouses. And then we can do the coordinating of moving that inventory. And so what they did is they used 3 fulfillment centers. So you can see on the map three, or 3 fulfillment centers map, they have one in California, one in Texas, and one in Florida. And so when you're using 3 warehouses, what that does, it completely eliminates that blue, right? Meaning that the average transit time is between 2 to 3 days. And so really what that helped them do is they were able to cut the speed in half to 2.5 days, allowing them to extend holiday delivery days by an additional 4 to 5 days, meaning during peak, they're able to still deliver to their merchants before maybe New Year's, whatever holiday. And that was a huge plus for them, and they were able to increase revenue. And so I think by doing this, it's really great for brands. However, I do like to say this doesn't work for every brand. For apparel brands, it's a little bit tricky when it comes to, having high SKUs. So what I'll say is like for apparel brands, typically what we see is they take their popular SKUs and they distribute those amongst other warehouses. And then for any brand that has a lower SKU count, this is just really easy to do. And then I always like to highlight it just makes your fulfillment a little bit more sound. And what I mean by that is, say there's a snowstorm in Texas. I mean, we've all seen that. You're able to route your orders to the end customer via another warehouse, right? you're able to say, okay, ship all those orders from our Chicago FC or our California FC. That way, those merchants are still getting their orders. It might be, an extra day to 2 days, but there's really not too much of a delay. So I always encourage brands to think about distributing their inventory. It just really helps the fulfillment process, and you're able to deliver orders faster and at a more cost affordable rate. So this is a little bit more unique to ShipBob, but what we do with our Shopify integration is we're able to have badging. And what I mean by that is when you're on the product view page, like you're viewing a product, right? You're not at the checkout process. It actually can show the estimated delivery date. Right. So if you're anything like me, I am a last minute shopper. It is my goal not to do that this year. But I'm always looking at when I can get an order before it is the holiday or whenever I need it. And so with our integration with Shopify, when you're just at the product view page, it will actually show your estimated delivery. And this is great. I think the stat really kind of highlights this is 42% of shoppers expect a 2-day delivery shipping option for every online purchase. And it helps with so many things, but it definitely drives awareness when paired with product badging, right? With your product, and you're able to put the order delivery date on there. It definitely helps convert shoppers by reducing cart abandonment, right? You know you're going to get your order in time. And then it increases AOV when paired with free shipping thresholds. And I want to pause on that because I think a lot of our merchants do this really well. And so what that means is they'll oftentimes have spend $200, spend $150 and unlock free shipping. And when you're distributing your inventory accordingly, you actually don't have to rely on 2-day air or those more expensive delivery options. You're able to ship everything via ground shipping and it still get there in 2 days. And then, of course, I think everyone knows this, but it really helps build loyalty through, a better shopping experience. I think definitely during the holidays, people are looking, myself included, are looking for those brands that have cost affordable 2-day delivery. And I like to know that I can get it in 2 days. And rather having to go through the whole checkout process to see if they have affordable 2-day or if I will get it in time, this really just shows at the product view page, which is a really great feature. And then meet your customers online and offline. So a problem our place had is they knew it was important to have an online and offline presence, but they were piecing it together through multiple fulfillment partners, managing separate inventory pools for direct to consumer wholesale, which was costly and complex, right? If you think about having more than one 3PL, right? Maybe you have a 3PL that's really good at D2C, and then you have a 3PL that specializes in B2B. And that's great. However, that gets a bit tricky when you're managing inventory and you're having to communicate with two, maybe, merchant success managers, having to fill out support tickets in different places. And so what I really encourage all brands to do is try to find a 3PL that can handle both D2C and B2B. At ShipBob, we definitely can do both. I'm happy to provide anyone on this call really questions to ask and vet a 3PL to know if they can handle both D2C and B2B. But it's just really important. And the solution our place found is they consolidated to one partner, ShipBob, that can serve both D2C and B2B customers from one platform and one pool of inventory that simplified their logistics and lowered their freight costs to meet their customer expectations around convenience and availability. So reach your customers everywhere. I want to highlight another interesting problem that our place had was international shipping, right? When they were growing, they were getting international buyers without really
Yeah.
honestly even trying to do so. And so with ShipBob, or before ShipBob, they had a couple of 3PLs, right? They had their B2B 3PL and they had an international 3PL as well. I believe, and don't quote me on this, it was a 3PL in Canada, or I'll just use that example. And so again, you're having to work with now three different 3PLs, which makes it super complex and hard. And so solution is with ShipBob, we have 50 warehouses in the US, 8 international warehouses as well. So for a brand like our place, if they wanted to test out a new market, instead of having to find a whole new 3PL, having to onboard with them, having to learn their SLAs, they were able to use our fulfillment center in Canada, right? And this is really great for brands that want to test out a market. And maybe they said, hey, we actually entered this market a little too prematurely. Instead of having to have, a conversation with your 3PL, having to break a contract or anything like that, they were able just to sell, they would be able just to sell out of that inventory in Canada and then just know, hey, maybe we don't send that many units to Canada, or maybe we wait and start after Q4 into Q1. So just a really easy way to test out new markets. And I encourage every brand on this call when looking for a 3PL, really do your research, make sure they have some international presence, especially if that's important to you. And then over communicate with customers. I think that this is so important going into peak. And so we integrate with partners like Gorgeous, Klaviyo, Attentive, just to name a few. And really what we're able to do is send pre-shipment notification and alerts to those platforms. So really what that means is I like to give this example. I like to say on Texas, hopefully Texas, anyone in Texas, you don't get any snowstorms. But in the case that Texas gets snow, right, carriers aren't able to come to the ShipBob warehouses and actually pick up. And so what we're able to do is we're able to arm Gorgeous, Attentive, Klaviyo really with that pre-shipment notification. Shopify doesn't have access into what's going on, or BigCommerce or whatever e-commerce platform you're selling on. They don't know what's going on in the fulfillment center. Truly, the 3PL is the only one that knows that. So we're basically able to arm those platforms saying, hey, your order's delayed because of the weather advisory, weather alert in Texas. We're expecting the carriers to come pick up at 2 o'clock on Thursday, and that is when your order will be shipped out. So we're able to really arm these support channels with the details needed when someone's reaching out to them. And I just think this goes, really well with Q4 and just, getting in front of a rather tougher situation to have to communicate. But if you're getting out in front of it and really over communicating with your merchants, they always tend to really appreciate that. And then 97% of customers expect the ability to monitor orders through every step of the shipping process. And then create a memorable unboxing experience. So, one thing our place struggled with was, having an unboxing experience. They have a, very chic, cool product, and they didn't want it to show up in just a corrugated box. And the pan is at a premium, right? It's a more expensive pan. And so they knew that they really wanted to have this unboxing experience, right? They wanted you to open up the box and it be in a placeholder where it can't move, get dinged during transit. And so a struggle they had was really, how do we do this with a 3PL? And with ShipBob, and I know other 3PLs as well, you just have to do your research and make sure that they can do this. But with us, they're able to have this unboxing experience. I think, for people like me, I'm in my 30s, a pan is a really nice gift, and something I would appreciate. And instead of having to go the extra mile, right, to make sure it looks like a gift, they really have this great unboxing experience. So when someone's opening it, it really does look like a gift. And I really encourage every brand on here today to really think about a custom box is not just another line item, not just, something extra you have to pay for, but really more of like a marketing tool, right? I think we're so in the age of TikTok and, these unboxings, and this just really helps differentiate your brand. It helps really make it pop and make it look a bit different. And then
Thank you so
really,
much.
yeah,
Just letting you know, we're kind of running a little late on time. Um,
perfect.
yeah,
This
you
is my
want
last slide.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. Anyone that wants to chat, I will share my email. And to take advantage of any of these offers, just go to ShipBob /chargeblow. And thank you so much. I'll hand it back off to you all.